Real life and cinema have taught us an important lesson. Love alone isn't enough to go the distance together. We also need money, sometimes a lot of it. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Blue Valentine, La La Land have all left us, bitter about the endings of fairy tale romances that didn't have money behind them. It's a vicious loop of arguments, loneliness, distance, and regret, where, in the end, they have everything except each other. Materialist, literally those who follow materialism, is exactly what its title says it is. The economics of love is a light tap, but it stings on romance's pure idealism. Just like Celine Song's earlier past lives, once you step into the world of Materialist, it's hard to escape the allure of its razor-sharp, rational, yet exquisitely subtle dialogue. Harsh truths about love are peeled back so nakedly you can't look away. So, is being pragmatic in love right or wrong, in a world where materialism keeps winning? And is there any neat way to settle money, the delicate yet life-or-death issue inside a relationship? Materialist follows Lucy, a young matchmaker for couples living in New York. Her job has made her keenly aware of the value of looks, money, and modern dating standards. One fateful day, Lucy happens to meet Harry, a wealthy, polished man who immediately makes his intentions clear. At the same time, she unexpectedly runs into John, the broke ex-boyfriend she once loved deeply. Since this is a film about material value inside relationships, I'll introduce the three leads in the order the materialist world assigns their market value, from high to low. Sitting on top, no question, is Harry, the one Lucy calls a unicorn partner. His family's been in finance since his grandparents, his parents, and now him. Wealth keeps reproducing like a golden starfruit tree heavy with fruit. It's because men like Harry actually exist that Lucy's clients can't bring themselves to lower the dream standards they've set. Like the Hermes Himalaya Kelly bag, Harry is a scarce, coveted item. So coveted many women ignore how astronomically small the odds are that they'll ever end up with someone like him. Look at his first entrance. He draws every eye in the room. An elegant woman his age has clearly been hoping he'll notice her. But Harry sets his sights on the person he considers the perfect match, Lucy, a woman in her 30s, old enough to be grounded and experienced, but of course still much younger than he is. Next is Lucy. She's so polished she looks like a beautiful doll on a shelf, impossible for Harry to miss. She's a star at Ador, the matchmaking firm, thanks to a preternatural eye and razor intuition. Lucy can talk a panicked bride out of canceling her wedding by persuading her that the marriage is, in fact, a very sound investment. Her career success comes from her gift of the gab and a pragmatic belief that love and money are two sides of the same coin. When Harry asks what kind of man she wants to marry, Lucy doesn't hesitate. Rich, unimaginably rich, so rich it hurts. She says out loud what many have thought but don't dare admit. She understands the value of money because she grew up poor and is still grinding under a mountain of debt. If she's going to be with someone again, she wants to calculate carefully and place her bet on the richest man she can find. And Harry proves he's more than she hoped for. Lucy knows she's not priced at Harry's level. There's an invisible class gap between them. But Harry convinces her he sees in her the solid long-term value of a life partner, precisely because he doesn't have to worry about money. He wants an intelligent, emotionally literate woman with exceptional social grace to be by his side for life. Lucy agrees to date Harry with the level-headedness of someone who once poured 5 years of her heart into loving a struggling artist. Our third lead is John. If Harry treats love like a long-term investment with reliable financial assurances, for his partner, John, Lucy's ex, loves like he has nothing left to lose. Because frankly, he doesn't. John is too risky a choice for most women. He stands in for all the penniless romantics, a markdown item sitting quietly on a clearance shelf that no one picks up. The only things he can give Lucy are love and freedom. But that alone isn't enough. He's 37 and still waiting tables part-time to get by between roles. Lucy's world keeps getting neater, sleeker, and more upscale. John is as rumpled and unstable as when they were together. His problem is that, no matter how hard he tries, he's miles from where Harry stands. He has no footing to leverage his way into a better life. His days loop through blowout fights over cramped, precarious living, something no grown woman genuinely wants to endure. common thread in Celine Song's two films is that her characters are in their 30s to 40s. That's not random. Youth has just slipped away, and the future is still a question mark. The choices you make today can decide the next half of your life. There's a conversation between John and Lucy about the nature of marriage that goes like this. Why do people even get married? Because one day, without any grand reason, those two people start to hate each other. They'll resent each other, look down on each other. After the kids arrive, they'll grow sick of one another. One of them will cheat. They'll fight constantly. At first, they'll try not to argue in front of the kids, but eventually they can't help it and they'll do it anyway, just like their parents did. They'll resent themselves and each other for letting it all get so bad. They'll file for divorce and fight over assets and custody until everything is wrecked. So why do people still get married? Probably because everyone says they should. Because they're lonely. Because at some point they hoped they could do better than their parents did. Clearly, marriage is something that demands careful math. An ideal couple shares similar educational backgrounds. Best case, both were raised in financially secure families. Add a dash more mutual physical attraction, and you've basically got yourself a wedding. Maybe that's why Lucy's clients find it so hard to settle down. They demand perfection in a partner and refuse to lower their standards while overlooking their own flaws, because they've already drawn up a checklist for the other person. But aren't all people flawed and wildly unpredictable? A great profile can't guarantee someone is trustworthy or warm-hearted. Sophie, a longtime client of Lucy's, gets assaulted after a first date with a man who ticked every box she was seeking. Only then does Lucy realize the criteria she's been using to choose partners for clients all revolve around looks and money, not love. Matters of the heart are a gamble. Even an investor like Harry finds the risk too high to wade into without hedges. So how do you solve this problem in the safest way? In Before Sunset, Celine tells Jesse, after years apart, that when we're young, we think there will be so many people who make us feel we could be close and stay. But when we're older, we realize it only happens a few times in life. A friend of mine said that at our age, she doesn't believe in love at first sight anymore. It's a bit irrational, but she still believes that the feeling you get when you first meet someone matters a lot. As if, from that first moment, you have a fondness for each other, even though you know nothing about them. Maybe, standing in front of love, we don't have any capital except trust and that hazy, faded connection, letting emotion lead the way. If I like you, or if I just like the places you take me to, how expensive the meal is makes it romantic. Material safety is part of what lets feelings soar, and vice versa. Lucy and John once argued in the street over $25 of parking right before their relationship exploded. Harry, on the other hand, casually signs for dinner in the kitchen at Nobu and Sushi Ichimura, fine dining temples of New York luxury. For Harry, dinner there is ordinary. Lucy, though, isn't used to it. She quietly freaks out doing the math on how many days' wages that one meal equals. Beyond looks and a strong first impression, Lucy and Harry keep missing each other's frequency when they probe each other's backgrounds. Harry's parents never argued about money, and he can't fathom why couples would raise their voices in public. Harry owns a tens of millions penthouse in Tribeca, where celebrities and ultra-rich investors live. The interiors look like an art gallery. In the middle of that lavish space, Lucy's confidence evaporates. She only looks, afraid to touch anything. The objects stare back at her, appraising whether she deserves to be part of this expensive collection. Before a month of dating is up, Harry already has a diamond ring ready to propose. When Lucy finds out, she sighs instead of smiling. A vague dread creeps in. If she commits to Harry, will there come a day when she feels like an asset that depreciates faster than her book value, and Harry decides she's no longer worth further investment? In other words, if she wants to stay with him, she'll have to keep upgrading herself, grinding up the material ladder to feel worthy, because from the start the gap between them was too wide. Lucy steps into a relationship that provides material safety, but every choice she makes is weighed down by pressure and social expectation. If there's a metaphor for Lucy and Harry, it's the omakase restaurant where they dine. The rules there: no menu, no prices. You don't order, and you don't discuss your preferences. You watch, you wait. You accept what the chef places in front of you and savor it with complete trust. In other words, that high-end dining experience requires you to surrender control to the person cooking. Likewise, Harry can give Lucy a level of luxury beyond her dreams, but he also wants everything to stay under his control. Some viewers said Dakota Johnson and Pedro Pascal don't have chemistry as a couple. I think that's deliberate. Harry and Lucy are performing the roles of a perfect couple rather than being two people madly in love. Both want to maintain their best image in the other's eyes. So what we end up loving is our own fantasy of them, not who they really are. And often, it's exactly what we don't tell each other that kills the relationship later. Lucy's anxiety grows so large she stays awake just to check the scar on Harry's leg. He can't sleep either, afraid she'll notice he had surgery to increase his height by 15 centimeters. Harry admits the procedure changed his life. Women who once ignored him now crave him. And Lucy, though far from flush, has invested in a nose job and a breast augmentation. A more attractive body can make you feel more valuable. But none of that erases the truth. They don't love each other, and no amount of money can change that. It turns out love is the most expensive thing of all. Song knows how to tell stories with exquisite subtlety through tiny details. If you look closely, it's hard to imagine Lucy choosing differently. When John shows up out of nowhere with Lucy's favorite drink, Coke mixed with beer, the glass is just a hair over half full. John knows her so well he knows the exact ratio that suits her taste. Lucy can't help herself. She throws her arms around him. The air between Harry and John is painfully awkward, but Lucy is fully lost in the joy of the reunion. She still can't deny she longs for a simple, unadorned love. Her relationship with John has broken up and come back together because the core feeling between them is undeniable. But John is too poor to love, and Lucy is too practical to stay. Every moment, Lucy's face tightens with pain as she imagines the cheap restaurants, cramped apartment, and sputtering old car clinging to her life with no exit. Who knows when John will ever have a steady career? Maybe in a month they'll be fighting in the street again over $25 of parking in Times Square? We don't know. Neither does Lucy. Materialist doesn't hand you a neat answer to whether you should choose love or money. It tells the story of three people so that each of us can look inward and find our own answer. Our pasts, our lived experience, the collisions of our relationships. These make our choices different, and none of those choices are inherently wrong. Life doesn't offer perfect options, only people determined enough to make their choice worth it. I still remember what the father says in Call Me By Your Name. We rush to heal our wounds so quickly that we exhaust our feelings before we even turn 30. So by the time we enter a new relationship, our hearts have nothing left to give. It's tragic that we tried so hard to numb ourselves to love's pain, that we ended up unable to feel anything at all. Maybe the scariest thing is the day our hearts turn calloused. There will be people like Harry, afraid of getting hurt, afraid love will make them fools. And there will be people like Lucy, who choose to return to the one person who proves to her she can still love. I'll end with the blessing letter from an elderly couple at a wedding Lucy attends. Love is the last religion, the only refuge left in this life. So what else do we truly have to believe in, if not it? There will be times when we're lost and directionless. That's life. In those moments, the answer is beautifully simple. Walk toward wherever love is.